Okay. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Everybody. Sollen wir Englisch, Deutsch? Ich verzichte auf Bayerisch. Ich versuche Hochdeutsch. Ist das okay? Hochdeutsch ist okay. Also mein Hochdeutsch. Die Kollegen auch?
I could prefer English.
English? So then let's try English. Why not? French. Oh, then I'm limited. Then I'm out. Sorry about that. I like French wine, and I like the French cuisine, but the language is out. Okay.
Don't drink enough French wine, otherwise you learn it automatically. I promise.
Okay. Thank you. I will try this, but don't tell my wife, please. Okay. The goal for today, we agreed that is everybody should go out here and should know the difference between power and
Energy. Did you understand like the difference between power and energy? Like that's the goal of this session today.
Yeah.
Like everything else is like additional information, but that you have like this gut feeling, this deep understanding of what the difference is. This is like the idea of this workshop today.
So it's not a physics lecture, but it will be very selective for this part.
Is it like eyes and the sight, or ears and the hearing, or?
We take it down when it will come on slide number 7, 8. But you will learn it, and then you will go differently through this world afterwards. Does everybody know this? Sorry. I was on the wrong. Does everybody know this lady? Who knows it? You know. Who is it? This lady.
The first Mercedes is the car, but the lady.
Yeah.
Lady. Who?
Yeah.
That was the daughter. This lady was? Anybody? Is Bertha Benz.
Yeah.
She was Karl Benz's wife. And this was a pitch in the 19th century. The pitch that resulted in mobility as we have it now, with cars running with fuel. Her husband, Karl Benz, was the inventor, engineer, technical guy. He did it, but he was not brave enough to really kind of go out there. And she said, come on, I'll try it. I take this fucking thing, and I go out, and I drive from Mannheim to Pforzheim. And this was a 100 kilometers ride at that time, which is quite, you need to have power. She took her 2 sons, and then they started. What was the challenges? The challenges were, okay, this thing looks like a horse thing without a horse, and just a motor in. And nobody was really aware, is it really usable in a daily life thing? So just for anybody, not for a specialist. Then there were, at that time, as it usually is, early stage prototype. There were several things broke whilst using it, and she repaired it. And the third thing is, there was no fuel station at that time, obviously not. So she had to go to the pharmacy and buy some fuel. By the way, this pharmacy is a tourist spot now. You can go there and see where she bought the first fuel spot in the world. This was the situation at that time. Mobility was this in the 19th century. You go there, the energy comes from water and some hay and some other things, food for the horses, but also it was in kind of restaurants, so food for the travelers, because you had to stay typically an hour, a night to let the horses recover for the next tranche, which is typically had been 50 kilometers.
Maybe just to add, there was also a newspaper article to that time during that ride that I think it was also Carl Gustav that mentioned the automobile will never replace the horse. So also their paradigm change was already a topic. So everybody was stating the horse will not be replaced by automotive inventions, but we look at it today and we say, today we might think otherwise. So also with other ideas, it can conclude in this situation.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Good point there. Energy supply nowadays, all we know is a full network of fuel stations. And we put the fuel for 800 kilometers in about 2 minutes, and then we go. So this is what you're used now, and it's all done with regular fuel as most of us still use. The future, though, will be energy will be the sun. Fuel is energy stored from sun and generated about 150 million years ago. Because, all what we have is this oil from down there is from the good old times when the dinosaurs were the main population on the world. And this is what we currently are using. And the future is we're using directly the sun as it is. So real time, use the sun and use it for mobility. Yeah, difference is clear. It's again a bit smaller, lower distance, and the charging times are more. And now it comes to first step into what's the difference between energy and power. This is a lot of power, 32 million watts. So, what does this mean? This is Chur, Lauren's home place. A town like Chur can be supplied with energy and with power, with this amount of power. So this is the average usage. So if you have a generator that generates with this power, you all can do your daily stuff in your household with that. So it's about, in order of magnitude, what the supply needs to provide in order to make sure that this is done properly. And this now is a standard fuel station, as we all know. And if you think the fuel that comes out, and you would just put this fuel continuously into a generator that generates power, it would be able to generate the power for his hometown, for Chur. What we want to tell you with that is there is a tremendous lot of energy going through when you just put this fuel in a very short time. And when you compare this, here we have 32 megawatts, and with the highest power that you can get for charging at the moment, for charging station for e-mobility, is about 2 orders of magnitude lower. And this is already the maximum that you can get. And this is not a maximum because of, we are not ready with the technology. This is pure physics. So there is not really a lot more to be achieved with this way of charging cars or e-mobility.
So what we are doing here is some kind of physics trick. Of course, the 32 megawatts you're not aware of. You're just going there, you're refilling chemical energy inside of your car in the time of 2 minutes for these 800 kilometers. We have also bad efficiency in the internal combustion engine car, which brings us down. The used energy or the used power we have afterwards is much less than what we get from the fueling station. But afterwards, you use your car for more than 2 minutes, for hours, with that amount of fuel you put in. But you just stand there for 2 minutes and put in chemical energy in this 2 minutes, which gives you, with the physics trick, a charging power of 32 megawatts. And this is just for the comparison that you know that this is 100-fold higher than what we get from electric energy. So this already needs some adaptation of the usage of the people who use it to get comfortable with, to get some convenience out of it. So maybe 2 minutes is okay for refueling, but waiting longer for electric mobility sometimes seems to be an issue, which it is not really, but it is a change in behavior we need to go for.
I have a question to you guys, because this is like a very important point of this session. This megawatt, kilowatt, in general, watt, is this A, power, or B, energy? It's like you can literally raise your hands if you think it's A, this is power, or B, energy. So who's for A? Please raise your hand. Who thinks this is power? And who thinks it's energy? All right. So A wins. This is power. All right? And that's the main difference we're trying to get here today. So I'm starting with a very simple example. I'm telling my mother and my sisters and my brothers, everyone. So imagine like a step of yours when you walk is 2 watt. Okay? That's the power of your step. Now, when you walk for an hour, you are using 2 watt hours of energy to actually get somewhere. Okay? So power means like kind of, it's not physically perfect if I say it's force, but you can think of your force, your strength. You put into something and then you do it for a while, and this time, when you multiply by the time, it tells you how much energy you actually used. So, this charging example, this is like a supercharger for cars. They usually have like, I don't know, let's do a simple math, maybe 70 kilowatt hour is the energy box of this battery. So when you buy a car, you see like 70 kilowatt hour battery capacity. This is my car. Now, when you go to a charger which has this power, how long does it take until your battery is full? Like assuming we have just perfect linear charging with whatever. So you have 350 kilowatt of power in your plug. That's the strength. And you multiply it by a time such that you get 70 kilowatt hours of energy in your battery. So that would be
1/7. Yeah.
that would be, I was trying to do a simple example.
No, you have in 1 hour, you would get 350, but you don't need, because your capacity is just 70. So you need a fifth, yeah?
Yeah.
It's correct.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect, that's 12 minutes.
You passed the class. So
So that will require 12 minutes, okay, to fully to recharge your battery entirely. And that's exactly the thing you're seeing at the moment, because we wrote at the electric slide, you were seeing like 20 minutes to 6 hours. That's like the charging time. And the charging time, that's exactly this window we can play around these days with this new era of mobility. So we're playing around with power and obviously the battery capacity. And you always need to think of those both parameters, otherwise you will not get anywhere. So you will be charged more for higher power than lower power. Best example, your home, you have a charge of 11 kilowatt and not 350, but it takes much longer to fill your 70 kilowatt hour battery, like 7 hours approximately. or here it takes 12 minutes. And this is something you are actually paying. This is the difference in the price in the end you see on your credit card bill. Okay, so that was like the first lesson session about power and energy.
Yeah. Okay.
Please
Okay.
continue.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Now it comes to what do we need? Do we all need to rethink? And rethinking is another word for innovate. Rethinking means this shows you this is the world where we come from, and people think in same structures, you know, and they think like, okay, it almost looks similar, like whether you put fuel in or you put electricity in. And this is a simple rethink, because it kind of mimics the same thing like we have it here. And what we are aiming for, is it the right way of rethinking it just that, or should be much more disruptive in thinking? Because what do we need mobility for? What do we need all our cars for? The cars are not just for going around. Sometimes it is. But the main purpose of a car is get from A to B. Get from your home place to Bern, to this place. And at the end of the day is we have to rethink how do we get from A to B in a different way as we are used currently. And if you think about that, when Tesla started with the success story of e-mobility, what they put in next to the car, they put this network in. And why? Because you need to get from A to B, and this A to B means availability of energy. And this is exactly where we are in. It's like, okay, we heard before is you need to maximize the energy transfer into your mobility device, whether it's a car or bus, doesn't matter. The simple way, so the straightforward way is take this kind of box that you are used now with a fuel and do some similar things with your energy support now with electricity. What we are claiming is there are much smarter ways to do it, and this means Diversifizierung. Do it a different way. And with that said, we want to change now into a kind of group exercise. We want to have 3 groups. One group is representing the people, so us. We are living on this world, and we are enjoying it, and we want to be mobile, so we want to get from A to B. The second group represents the planet. Does planet always like what we do, how we treat it? We jump into the role and think like, Mother Earth, what do you think, how we do it with you? And the third thing is people want to make money. And what do they think about something new? And we all know that money drives the world. And there's a lot of influence from the economic side, because people tell, okay, oh yeah, we want to make money, and what is the profit out of it? So with that said, we want to get up and want to split into 3 groups. You can volunteer. We should have something equal so that we have enough for the planet, for the people, and for the profit.
So obviously people is like the easiest one. So you just think of like convenience. Planet, you think of like nature, and you try to make it like long term. Does it make sense or not? Not just short term solutions. And profit, that would be my co-founder Sonam. CFOs, like you go to this corner and you think of like how can these systems be profitable or not. And so we do it like today we do it for heavy duty vehicles, because then every parameter we're talking about is much bigger, like bigger batteries, bigger consumption, bigger vehicles, and so on. So the problem is more intense to really understand those parameters. We printed out those parameters, like each group. You can just like selectively go there. It's not a full list. It's like we're trying to give you a head start of what you can think of, what changes. And then we're gonna put, like, we can already put the first one, the first bus approach, how it's being done today. So this is a picture from Basel. So they're electrifying their entire fleet, and they do it with the depot ladder approach. That's the most common one. That's like if you buy an electric car and you charge it at home during the night. So we want to think about that approach in terms of profitable, Mother Earth, and obviously the convenience for the people. All right? So please stand up.
Okay.
Loosen your legs. Hi.
Who is volunteering for the?
To the next example, because like my group is like running hot, really hot on on this topic. They know a lot more than me. That's nice. So we cannot even agree if we like depot charging or not, because like there is so many parameters, even if we're trying to close it down. But it's great. So let's jump to the next slide, because you will see like we're doing the game 3 times. This is why you have the 3 numbers. And then we will try in the end to summarize, like, in terms of profit, says I like option A, B, 1, 2, 3 best. I like option 1, 2, 3 best. I like option 1, 2, 3 best. And then we see like where we get overlaps or not. So this is a complete random outcome, but I'm really interested. So next one is the Streckenlader. This means like dynamic charging along the way. So getting your energy from a supplier network when you're running this, like a train. It's like a train, but in the form of a bus. And now we will talk about this, and you can already start comparing it to the depot charging approach from your perspective, people, planet, profit. So have fun. Let's make this one a bit shorter, maybe 2 minutes. Okay, then we will, I heard we have 2 minutes left, like in the entire session, so we will make it a bit differently. Obviously, the third one, or not obviously, but the third one was like this charging along your route somehow. So that's the idea. So now the first one we had is like charge your huge battery overnight and drive along during the day with your energy. Second one is like take the energy while you drive, the train approach. And the third one is like this mixture, this hybrid between those two. And that's actually a very, very nice example here in Zurich. The ETH link, it's driving between ETH Zentrum and Hönkerberg, and it only has a battery capacity of about 175 kilowatt hours. So that's not even 2 Teslas. That's very, very small for such a huge vehicle, but it works. It works 24/7. They only need 3 buses. Against the other model was using 6 buses to always replace it. So that's like in terms of the profit, it's very good. It's much cheaper, but you need to build something up here. And they're struggling, actually, still with this one. They're not struggling with the overhead lines. They are struggling with the overhead lines, but also with this one. So everything which goes into Hochbau these days is a huge potential risk to prolong any sorts of technology. So the wireless power, this is like probably why you came here for, so I make it really quick. We're working on a wireless power system because we were playing around with these parameters as well. If you have small batteries, huge payload, daylight energy, and hopefully no visible infrastructure, then you're on a really sweet spot to actually help the electric mobility to go along. And we already heard it like from you. I don't know, what's your name? Mark. I mean, Mark, essentially, like the first 30 seconds he pitched everything we were trying to pitch here is like we wirelessly charge the vehicles at the operational halts. So we're not adding further halts or any more halts to the system, but they're halting anyway. And I told you that, like, if you summarize these halts just during one day, you end up with at least 3 or 4 hours of just standing time. That's what a bus do, like what buses do. So they go, they stop, they wait, they go, they stop, they wait. And our system works like this. It's exactly as your phone is working. So you have this sending element inside the bus station itself. You have a receiver side, which is in the vehicle. And there is no plugs, there is no mechanics, there is no sensor, there is nothing, you cannot see anything. So we're trying to get rid of all the problems we identified when we were talking to the fleet operators of buses. And for the profit group, it's actually much cheaper. So if we're able to build this fully, like in the next couple of years, this will be the most profitable system because you have low power, daylight energy, you do not have the obstruction problems because you're not seeing anything, so nobody can talk against you when you build this system. And so you're kind of a mixture between charge everything at the same time all together, or do this series of charging, like bus by bus by bus, and then you have this perfect load distribution, which is also recurring cost. Now, what are we doing? That's Sonam and Silve and Nacho. We are working on this wheel-based inductive system. This is why we call ourselves Winduction. It's very simple. The prototype, you can actually see it at the Helbling booth down there. So please meet us afterwards if you're interested. Power, not energy. 40 kilowatts of power per wheel times 4 wheels. That's an axle, axis of a bus, rear axis, gives you 160 kilowatt of peak power, which you can charge right into a bus station. I think we all got it now. So if you have a battery electric bus with huge batteries, you need a bus more, and it's quite expensive. So that's a real scenario, a real case scenario, not something invented. And if you're charging them during the day, obviously you just need the buses you actually require to fulfill your operations, to transport your people. The prices go down a lot. Energy is cheaper, the power is less, the vehicles are less expensive because of the smaller battery and everything. So this is exactly those parameters we were trying to play around. If we equip just 2 out of 24 bus stations, bus stops, this bus could already go like 24/7. So that's something to really think of, is like, we need to figure out, when we talk about electric mobility, where do we have the halts nobody is thinking of already, and to use those halts to take those times and charge them, because like this partially charging adds up to a substantial amount of energy, which is making you driving probably unlimited ranges in a couple of years by now. Our first prototype, you can actually see it and touch it and feel it. Okay, you cannot see magnetic fields, but you can read it on a screen. It looks like this. That's an old Postauto, hybrid diesel bus, nothing fancy, but now it has a very, very fancy wheel in the rear, and we can turn on this system at the bus 26 fair in Thun, just around the corner, and transfer the energy wirelessly into the vehicle itself and charge the battery. Thank you very much. We're sorry for making it a bit longer. I hope you a bit understand like what is the difference between power and energy. Like power again is the strength, energy is the strength times the time that gives you the energy. And if you use a lot of power to charge your battery, then you pay more. Okay, you will pay more if you go to the supercharger always instead of charging it for a long time. And also the battery itself, they like if they're being charged at slower power.
And what the most fanciest thing with that is that you don't have to think anymore about charging your vehicle. And when I come back to my wife, she hates putting the fuel in, and she never would put in the plug for the electricity car, because this is my task. And I'm relieved then in the future, because then you just have to place your car at the right place and it's charged automatically. Isn't that a great future? Thank you very much.
you have any questions? Like, I mean, we're here to answer your questions, or do you see things differently than we were like referring to? Please.
What is the difference in terms of investment to actually refit all the stocks?
So I can combine it with the existing mechanical opportunity charger. We refer it to as the Galgen, which you're seeing. And the Galgen costs about 1 million. So it has a lot of power. It has a trafo station next to it. It makes a lot of noise. People just don't want it. And everything to build is 1 million. To build just a system into the floor, like into the pad, that's like a fifth. And then you're doing a good business. So it's much cheaper. Like everything you're doing into the streets, like the Tiefbau, this is why we have those two classes, Tiefbau and Hochbau. When you're doing Hochbau, you always have problems. When you do Tiefbau, everything essentially is very fast and cheap. Because the 1 million does not just only come from the electronics behind it. It comes from the planning and the obstructions and so on. So there's a lot of hidden costs in such systems, I would say. Yes?
How long do you think this will go until we have a wireless environment?
A wireless environment.
This wireless technology, what you present, how long do you think this will go?
Until we
Estimation,
Until you can
until
buy
we have
it.
it. I mean, like, there have been so many approaches now to make such systems work, like for the past 25 years. So we're definitely not the first ones. But the wave now is very different because, like, actually the electrification is happening. Heavy-duty vehicles, they are being subventioniert, so they have that power to actually make it. They have the law which forces it to make it. And this generates a lot of opportunity and a lot of business opportunities for this kind of technology. So I think it will be like not a decade until you will see the first commercially operating wireless systems out there. Because there is a next wave coming. Somebody mentioned it already. Not sure where he is. It's like the autonomous thing. So the costliest part of driving buses is the bus driver. And if the bus driver is gone, then the systems will get a lot cheaper. And then when you talk about autonomous vehicle, you always have to think of us, because if the infrastructure is not wireless, autonomous vehicles just make no sense, because you need someone to plug it in, right, at the end of the day.
But coming back to your question, which is really a very, very good one, is so this inductive charging is almost everywhere. It starts with your toothbrush that is just handled wirelessly and it's always charged. You don't have to think about it. And every day when you go into your kitchen, your inductive heating is standard. Nobody else uses something differently. So this technology is something really mature and it evolves now into higher power classes. So this is why we try to explain to you how the power influences there. And it's good to do this step. To think about, okay, technology is there, technology is mature because it's in other power regimes, it's already standard. It's everybody uses it, even, and it's to a level of convenience that you don't think about it anymore. You know, you use your toothbrush, the stick, because it's convenient. I would bet that 50% even don't think that it's charged in the meantime. You just have to use it. And this is the innovation step here. You don't have to think about how you charge your car or your vehicle. It just stands there and it's charged and then you go ahead. And this is the future. And the advantages are so high and that it will be there, definitely.
You hope not a decade. Yes, please. I can relieve you. There is so many laws.
Right next to your charging station.
Yes.
No whatever influence out there.
You know what will happen if you're standing next to our charging station? It will not activate. That's the thing. I mean, that's a very good question. So if you have like the cooking plates in your home, they just stated somewhere in a manual, like 30 centimeters away. If you're pregnant, Herzschrittmacher, everything, just don't use it at all. But the fields you are exposed to are actually very strong. So we call it occupational exposure. So this is like in private, in whatever. So we just tell you it's there, you don't care about it, so we can sell it. Now in public exposure is much heavier to equip such systems. So there are like the doors of a bus, which have three different systems, three different architectures to detect if they can close or not. You have to have these types of security system to detect if people are in vicinity of those field limits, and then to turn down your transmission. So when you see such a system, wherever it is, if it's a car or if it's induction at a bus or something, then you already know it will automatically detect me and go down, because otherwise you cannot sell. Even like the Apple Watch. Does anybody of you have an Apple Watch or a smartwatch where you can like just charge it wirelessly with this? So it's exactly the same. As long as you shake the watch and touch it, it will say biological tissue is in vicinity, and it will have the least amount of power. When you walk away for a couple of minutes, it's like, I assume nobody's here, and then it goes up with the power and starts really charging your battery. So it's not just like we do it. Everyone does it, even like Apple. Everyone has to do it.
For the sake of a Swiss, use the Swatch example.
Sorry. I don't know if they have wireless charging. Really? Okay, next time I will use it.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a more philosophical question. I really like your idea, but how do you compare to the competition, especially if you look at the evolution in the battery chemistry, capacity in the batteries? Because what you're pitching here is amazing in a sense, but as you were mentioning all of the hurdles, like policy making, like the cost of infrastructure, we have the Chinese manufacturing, which is starting to peak. The batteries are getting more and more better in a sense. So what's your kind of focus target to kind of win the market?
Trying to differentiate here, we are not against batteries.
Oh, I know, but the biggest competition I see for you
Is
the actual evolution of the market and the batteries. Because I mean, what I saw like 5 years ago with Tesla is now completely different when we look at the fast charging, right? The mega charging for BYD and other blades.
yes, I mean that's nice. I read the headlines too, but still, like that's exactly. You just don't forget it. And next time you're paying your electricity bill at home, please study it for a second, because 50% of the amount you're paying is for power. So it's not a.
Actually true. I mean, the pricing is as well a very big part. Like if you look
Yes.
at, for example, Audi, we pay way less for the DC charging than actual AC, and as well like the infrastructure in Switzerland is very difficult. Like so, for example, of course, for the people who have the housing, charging is completely different than for the people who are living in the urban areas. But of course, we're discussing in Europe the whole policy making and trying to kind of speed up the process. So if I turn it back, to make yourself successful, what's your focus group? Who you need to win to actually make your startup be relevant?
Heavy duty vehicles. Like all the vehicles, I partially agree with when you talk about smaller vehicles like cars. When you talk about large vehicles and owners of big truck fleets, for example, then all those parameters are very essential for your business model. So you cannot allow to have 1,000 trucks and charge it, each one with one megawatt. More power needs more infrastructure. Like there's like this rule of thumb: more power needs more copper. Like it's actually just the system to have it is more expensive than a system to be able to deliver this power, like everything. And then if you scale it, like if you're the
So
doing the math. If you're doing the math for your company, you're trying to break it down. You're trying to level it across your operations. And this is exactly where we see our market, right? So we are trying to understand your operations and make like seamless bridges between energy infrastructure and your operation, instead of having these extra halts which are limited in time because you want to make money, you want to drive around, and then put a lot of expensive energy into your vehicle. So this is exactly this change.
Maybe,
it's not a either or. This is why we call it Diversifizierung. So we think of the future as you have like this 5 different possibilities how you make your system work, right? And then you plan everything according to it. It's not like this personal space. You just buy a car and you don't have the charging system. It's like you plan for everything. And you have like these wireless stations when you drop off loads, when you get on loads. You have this depot charging with your plug. So you have different kinds of system which make your electric fleet actually resilient and the cheapest as possible.
So you're doing the end-to-end charging solution. That's what.
Okay. Okay.
Just, this solution
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's a charging tech. You can literally put it anywhere, right? The case is here at the bus stations, yes.
Yeah.
I
Fun.
can imagine if you're integrating from the very beginning on one of the large leasing companies, they have banks behind, they are keen to support green projects in a broader sense. You could even create a pool of money, you could do a wrapper like an investment fund or so, you could open that to the public space as well. If you do it this way, you're getting completely different math for financing, including European subsidiaries, including whatever you can imagine. That would change the entire picture.
Yeah, and this is why we started with, okay, it's a disruptive approach. It is. And there has to change more than just the source, the nature of energy. It also has to diversify with support, with network, and so on. But looking at the time, I think we need to make sure that you have a lot of fun for the rest of the day. Thank you for participation and for a good discussion.
And for further discussions, meet us at the booth. We can also discuss what our groups bring together to answer also your question a bit broadly. Thank you very much.